Hello, my name is Dr. Aidan Elliott, and in the next few minutes I will analyse how the ghosts are presented in A Christmas Carol and highlight key quotes that you can use when answering exam and essay questions. The ghosts are central to Scrooge's transformation in this story, as he goes from possible damnation to redemption. They all play slightly different roles and so are all presented differently. Marley's ghost aims to make Scrooge fearful about what awaits him in the afterlife if he doesn't change. So, at first, we are told that, for though the ghost sat perfectly motionless, its hair and skirts and tassels were still agitated as by the hot vapour from an oven. Note the unearthly quality of the image, with its hair and clothing moved around by some invisible atmospheric disturbance. And we have two contradictory effects. It's simultaneously motionless and agitated, and this conveys a sense that all is not right. But what actually convinces Scrooge that the phantom is real is something much more mundane. The phantom taking off the bandage round its head as if it were too warm to wear indoors, its lower jaw dropped down upon its breast. Now, why is this more convincing? Because in Victorian times, friends or family used to tie a piece of fabric around the head and jaw of the dead person after death. This was to stop the jaw of the dead person dropping open and gaping horribly. And it may well have been Scrooge himself who tied this piece of fabric around Marley's head when he died. So this act makes Scrooge realise the ghost is real, and he then falls to the floor and listens. Now, having got Scrooge's attention, the ghost then reveals that ghosts like him must wander through the world and witness what we cannot share, but might have shared on earth and turned to happiness. Notice the words he chooses here. To wander, which means to walk aimlessly, and to witness, which can mean to see a crime being committed. Now, what is the crime? Well, actually, it's not sharing wealth and turning it to happiness. And that's why share is repeated, to highlight the importance of that concept. So this is the reason that the chain wrapped around the ghost is made of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. These are things that either secure someone's money, cash boxes, keys, padlocks, steel purses, or they record someone's wealth, ledgers and deeds. So Dickens is using this imagery to convey how wealth becomes a burden if it's not used to liberate others and make them happy. Now, the purpose of the next ghost, the ghost of Christmas Past, is different. It's the personification of memory, and brings to light many of the things that Scrooge has forgotten, both good and bad. And this is why the ghost has light coming out of its head, because it is this light that will illuminate Scrooge's past and make him confront the choices that he's made. Now, it's also presented as a creature of contradictions. It's both old and young. So it's like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man. Its hair was white as if with age, and yet the face had not a wrinkle in it. You notice its limbs are different. The arms were very long and muscular, its legs and feet most delicately formed. And it carries or wears things emblematic of both winter and summer. It held a branch of fresh green holly in its hand and had its dress trimmed with summer flowers. Now, these juxtapositions, the placing of one thing alongside another for the purpose of comparison, shows us that we are a product of our past and our present. We're shaped by things that happened long ago as much as by what happens today. It's the ghost's job to make Scrooge remember these memories so that he can see the impact his choices in the past have had on his current life. Now, when Scrooge meets the ghost of Christmas Present, there's a different emphasis. We read that there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch in shape not unlike Plenty's horn. Now, you'll notice the use of consonants here, linking glorious and glowing, words suggesting brightness and warmth, and linking also the words jolly and giant, suggesting enjoyment and something very large. This idea of size is then reinforced by the image of Plenty's horn, also called a cornucopia. Originating in Greek mythology, the cornucopia is a curved, hollow goat's horn or something similarly shaped, and it provides an endless supply of food such as fruit, vegetables and ears of corn. And this richness and abundance can be seen in the way the rooms changed. The walls and the ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove. Living green suggests a natural world that's vigorously growing, and a grove is a small area of woodland, often comprising fruit and nut trees, another source of food. Abundance is also demonstrated by the food that is heaped upon the floor to form a kind of throne. And the detail that there was a mighty blaze in the fireplace also conveys warmth and generosity. And in fact, this ghost is the personification of generosity, and it wants to show Scrooge what could be shared with others. It's dressed in green, the colour of summer growth. Its coat is left open at the top to symbolise that its heart is open to all people, and its feet are bare to symbolise naturalness. We also read that its dark brown curls were long and free as its genial face, its sparkling eye, its open hand, its cheery voice. The adjectives here reinforce the idea of generosity. Genial, meaning warm, gentle and friendly. Sparkling, meaning glinting with sparks of light. Open, meaning generous. And cheery, meaning the ability to make others happy. Note also the repetition of the word free. If we're free, then we're not confined or imprisoned. So the imagery shows Scrooge and us that not only will being generous make others happy, it's the source of our own happiness, and it is this that makes us truly free. In stave 4, Scrooge meets the last of the spirits of Christmas yet to come. This final spirit is the personification of death, and it resembles the traditional Grim Reaper who comes to collect the souls of the dead and take them to the afterlife. It's introduced as a solemn phantom, draped and hooded, coming like a mist along the ground towards him. The word phantom is more sinister and frightening than the word ghost because it carries a sense of continual dread with it, rather than just the idea of a dead person's spirit. It's no coincidence that of the 18 times the words phantom or phantoms are used in this novella, all but 2 are in either stave 1 or stave 4, when the focus is on death. The imagery here is of dread, seriousness and silence, and we read that in the very air through which this spirit moved, it seemed to scatter gloom and mystery. I want to pick up on 2 words that have a somewhat stronger meaning in Victorian English than in modern English. Gloom not only means somewhat dark as it does today, but also conveys melancholy. Melancholy is a feeling of profound sadness from which it is difficult to escape. And mystery doesn't just mean something we currently don't know. Here it is something inexplicable or beyond human comprehension. It evokes awe or wonder. So this imagery and atmosphere is in sharp contrast to the light and cheer brought by the 2 previous ghosts, Christmas Past and Christmas Present. Now we also learn that its mere presence filled Scrooge with dread, which is a deep fear or anxiety about the future. And of course the future is exactly what this ghost shows him, at least one version of it. And it's all the more frightening because it moves him instantly and silently from place to place, merely pointing a finger and requiring Scrooge to peer through the metaphorical mists of time to make sense of what he sees. Note also that the scenes that he is shown, relating to a businessman who's recently died but who no one cares about, are uniformly unhappy. So, in summary, we can see how Dickens presents these four ghosts to create different effects. To evoke fear of life after death in the form of Marley, to awaken Scrooge's emotions, which is Christmas past, to show the power of sharing and cheerfulness, which is Christmas present, and finally, Christmas yet to come, to inspire dread in Scrooge. And it is this that will finally prompt him to reform and to create a better future where he shares his wealth with others and makes himself happy. So do look out for some of these features as you read this novella, and I hope that this video has given you some useful insights that will help you to get a greater understanding of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe now so that you never miss any of my future posts.